Manchester, New Hampshire. New Hampshire, of course, is the all-important first-in-the-nation primary state, and we are less than 3 months away from the first votes being cast in the race for the Republican presidential nomination.
And with us now live, the man who's currently in the lead in the New Hampshire polls, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump.
Donald.
Hi, everybody.
Donald.
All right. So let's get this straight. You were there last night.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You flew straight here.
Right.
How many hours sleep did you get?
Not too much, like about an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half.
That's
so,
right.
so you're rested and ready to go.
What I do for you folks. I mean, this
It's unbelievable.
No, I'm doing it for them.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. Great show.
So,
All right, let's dive in.
yeah, let's dive in on the debate last night.
Yeah.
How do you think the debate went?
I thought it was great. I thought the moderators were fantastic. You know, you go from that to what we had a few weeks ago, which wasn't good. Talking about football, right? Fantasy football. I thought the three moderators did a fantastic job. Couldn't have been, and not only really a good job, it was elegant. It was an elegant debate. Now, I don't know if that's going to be as big as it would have been, let's say, number one. We had 24, 25 million people for number one, and I would think any questions. He didn't
really
have a lot of airtime, but I thought he was good. He was right next to me. I thought he was good.
Go ahead.
I know, I'm just curious. So you were very critical of Ben Carson on the campaign trail last week. It went after him, but last night seemed to keep the gloves off.
Well,
why is that?
I don't want to be critical. You know, I like him to start off with. I do. I like him. I don't want to be critical. But last night they were asking questions. Ben and I have gotten along very well over the period of time. I've actually become friends with a lot of the people that are up there.
Right.
Some very good people up there, actually.
Is Ben Carson qualified to be president of the United States?
Well, I don't want to say, Joe. That's not for me to say. I mean, you know, look, it's...
Would you let him run one of your companies?
I would let him operate on a friend of mine. Not necessarily me, but a friend of mine.
Yeah.
No,
but would you let him run one of your companies?
Sure. If you're talking about a company, you're sure.
You would never let him run one of your companies. Why are you being nice?
Boy, you are really critical.
No, I'm just curious why you're being nice this morning.
Nice. I'm trying to be.
New Hampshire
you know, I read where one of the folks said some really nice things about me this morning on someplace, and it didn't happen to be here. But actually, Katie Tur, what happened? She was so great. I just saw her back there. I gave her a big kiss.
Really?
She was fantastic.
Okay.
But on one of the
I don't even know what to say about that.
She was so positive about my performance last night, so it was great.
So let's talk about policy. A big battle over what the United States should and shouldn't do. The Republican Party obviously has been run by neocons over the past decade. You had Marco Rubio on one side of the debate who wants to spend $1 trillion more on national defense and wants to be, well, he's a neocon. And then on the other side, you had Rand Paul.
Right.
Where exactly do you stand between those two polar opposites?
I would say I am the most militaristic person on that stage, but I also know when to do it. You know, you saw that. In fact, I tell the story about you where you almost fell over when in my book that was written in 2000, prior to the World Trade Center coming down, I was talking about Osama bin Laden is going to come onto our shores and do some bad stuff. We better be careful. And Joe asked, when was that book written? It was written before the World Trade Center came down, and you couldn't remember. You said, whoa, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It depends on what we're talking about. It depends on where. I mean, we have to be top-of-the-line military. We have to spend a lot of money in military. You know, frankly, it's a great expenditure because the more we spend, the less we're going to have to use it, the way I look at it. People are looking at us right now as weak, ineffective. We don't know what we're doing. We don't have strong leadership. They have a lot of bad things going. And
but you say that the United States should not be the world's policeman.
No, look, Joe, we owe $19 trillion.
Does that put you in line with where Barack Obama is as far as leading from behind?
No, I think I'm a little bit more on the let's go side than that. But at the same time, I love the fact that look, Putin is bombing the hell out of somebody, And the people that he's bombing right now have to be ISIS to a certain extent. They just probably blew up his airplane. You know, that was a Russian plane, and it went down, and I assume it was a bomb. I think they don't want to say it, but it looks like it was a bomb. And having Putin dropping bombs on ISIS is a very positive thing. We don't have to do 100% of the bombing.
So
now,
Jeb Bush says that that's reckless and irresponsible.
No, I think it's irresponsible for us to get bogged down in Syria, and maybe let's end up with World War III over Syria, where we don't even want to be in the first place, and you have a migration with millions of people coming out, going all over the world. Nobody knows what's happening. And frankly, Assad is a bad guy, but we're backing people that we don't even know who the hell they are. You know, this is another Libya deal. We're backing people that we don't even know who they are, Joe, and giving billions of dollars worth of stuff, and they're getting the hell knocked out of them anyway, because now Russia's taking care of that one. But we have no idea. I spoke to a general 2 weeks ago who was really up on it, and he said, Donald, we have no idea who those people are that we're giving all of this stuff to. So if Assad got knocked off, let's say they get knocked off, he gets knocked off, what do we have? I mean, we don't know if it's going to be worse than Assad. So what are we doing? In other words, what are we doing? We shouldn't have gone into Iraq, and we destabilized the entire Middle East by doing it. ISIS now, we have ISIS because of that. We have ISIS. Look at Libya with Gaddafi. So we have Libya, we have Gaddafi. He's not there. It's 10 times worse than it ever was when we had Gaddafi. And now we have the same thing. We owe $19 trillion. We have bridges are falling down. Our roadways are falling. Our airports. You know, I travel all over the world. I see airports, the most beautiful things you've ever seen, like cathedrals.
Singapore.
Anywhere. I can name 20 different places, and then you land at LaGuardia, and you have potholes in the runway, okay? It's the place is falling apart.
But there is a beautiful Trump airplane at the end of the runway.
Oh,
you see
please.
every time you land in LaGuardia.
Okay.
No, I'm not being sucked. It is funny. Every time you land.
When it comes to the infrastructure that we have that's falling apart, there is so much that needs to be done here. And last night I heard you say that you would keep the minimum wage as is, that you would not raise it. Explain how that is necessarily good for the economy.
It's a very tough thing.
Because $7.50 an hour, Donald, nobody can live on that. And there are people living on that.
Mika, we're becoming a non-competitive country. That's the problem. We're becoming non-competitive. I would love to say make it $50 an hour. I think it's great.
I understand.
You know what? It's a tough
do
position politically. I mean, the best thing for me to say, I'm running for all of a sudden for the last 4 months. The first time in my life, I'm a politician. I can't believe this. I'm a politician. I never respected politicians. Now I'm a politician.
Donald, do you have people working for you making $7.50 an hour?
Here's the thing. Yeah, probably. Maybe I do.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe somewhere along the line I got thousands of people. But you know what? We have to become competitive with the world. Our taxes are too high. Our wages are too high. Everything's too high. We have to compete with other countries. And if we're going to just say, hey, I just see in New York where they made it $15, well, you're going to see
our
a lot
wages
of bad
are
things.
not. I mean, you can argue our wages are flat.
What's going to happen is now people are going to start firing people because they're going to, you know, the old story, and it's happened 100 times. It's always happening. But I'm not even saying from that standpoint, Mika, we have got to do something to compete with the rest of the world. Our country is not competitive anymore. That's why we're losing all of the manufacturing. Now, it's currency manipulation and all of those things that I talked about last night. A lot of currency manipulation. They are doing it brilliantly in China. China is a tremendous abuser of the United States. I said the other day, in the history of the world, there has never been a greater theft than what the United States has, you know, how we've been taken care of by China. China has it's one of the great bank robberies of all time.
Explain that.
Well, China has manipulated their currency. They've taken our jobs. They've taken our base. They've taken our manufacturing. They've taken so much out of us. Hundreds of thousands of companies. We have lost hundreds of thousands of companies and millions of jobs.
But isn't that better, though, for the consumers? That yes, maybe China can build something cheaper, but it comes back to us at the end of the day where
Joe,
we actually purchase.
You know what? It's better for China. Not better for us. We're losing our jobs. We're losing everything. We're losing our manufacturing, our base. We're losing everything. Now, we can change it.
Would you be
last year,
protectionist?
No, I'm not a protectionist. I'm a free trader. But we have to have better deals. Last year and this year will be almost $500 billion imbalance with China. $75 billion U.S. trade when you talk about an imbalance with Japan. $55 billion with Mexico. So we're going to lose 55. It's not actually a loss, but it really is a loss. They'll tell you it's not a loss. It really sort of is. $55 billion trade imbalance with Mexico. And you can go right down the line. So
you've
I will take care of that better than anybody.
Trade deals that the Obama administration has made. Are there any good deals that this administration?
Not too many. Not too many.
Can you name one?
You look at I can't name one. Look at the Iran deal. Maybe the worst deal I've ever seen negotiated of any kind, and I'm not talking about between countries. Maybe the worst deal I've ever seen negotiated. The Iran deal, they get $150 billion. They get everything they wanted. We caved point after point after point. We don't even get our prisoners
What do you do on day one if you're president of the United States? You've said before, Obama's made the deal. Trump has to live by that deal.
The biggest problem with the deal is they're getting now the $150 billion. I can't get it back. No matter how good I do, the money will be gone. I hate that the money is gone. I've always liked money. Okay? I hate that the money is gone. $150 billion will be gone. So hopefully when I get there, I'll do such a good job, Nikki. You'll be so proud of me.
Really?
But the money is gone.
Okay, so let's talk about money. You have talked about using United States laws to further your business. You've used bankruptcy laws, and often to your benefit. What happened to those investors after you filed for bankruptcy? You were able to
Wait. Let's go back.
No,
every major person that you've had on this thing, in terms of business, has done the same thing.
I don't disagree, Donald. I'm not arguing that. Okay. I'm just wondering what happened to the others in those deals.
Fine. Everybody's done fine. I've used the laws of the country to make good deals for myself, and also I've had hundreds and hundreds of companies. 3 or 4 times I've done a restructuring so that people could keep their jobs, among other things. But I've used the laws like other people do. I'm not going to mention their names, but almost every person that sits in front of you has done the same thing. Unfortunately, I get more publicity when I did. I did one deal where I bought the company. It was a terrible company. The guy made a terrible deal. I bought it. He's a friend of mine. He was just down and out. I bought it, immediately threw it into a chapter, beat the hell out of the banks, those poor banks, and made a good deal out of it. That's called business. You know, now I'm in a different world, but that's called good business. And you do those things. You use the laws of the country, the laws of the land, and I did. And and I can go 1, 2, 3, name the top 10 business people that you know. I can tell you most of them have done the same thing as I.
So let's look, also some major companies, whether it's Delta or other companies have done the same thing. Let's talk about.
Well, you take a look at Atlantic City. Almost everybody's in bankruptcy in Atlantic City. Caesars just filed for bankruptcy. Who would think Caesars? But Caesars just filed for bankruptcy.
Thousands of jobs.
Yeah, Leon Black, smart guy. But Caesars just filed for bankruptcy. Many, many top business people, and I mean the top.
Right.
And we do it because it's good.
Let's talk about immigration. Last night you got pounded from all sides, mainly from John Kasich, though, and Jeb Bush saying that your plan to deport illegal immigrants was not realistic.
Well, I think it's very good. First of all, we have a country. We're a country of law. We have to abide by certain things. You need borders. I will build a wall. I will get the wall to be paid for by Mexico. And I've said, they did that little skit.
They did the skit on Saturday Night Live.
Where the president of Mexico walks in, I have a check.
And how exactly do you do that?
And he gave me a $20 billion check, even though it's going to cost $7. I said, it's too much, Enrique. It's too much. No.
So how exact? We'll get to SNL in a little bit. How exactly do you get Mexico to pay for the?
It's very easy. I just told you, trade imbalance of between $45 and $55 billion. The wall. You're talking about, they were going to spend $12 billion on the wall. I'm going to spend 7 or 8. It's going to be bigger, better, and nicer. I know how to build. Okay.
But
Mexico's going to pay. When you're losing we get billions of dollars to Mexico. Billions. But you need the wall. You need it because, and by the way, walls do work. All you have to do is call up Israel, say, how's your wall working?
But how do you deport 12 million? How do you deport 12 million?
Okay, so let me
illegal immigrants?
You do it because they're here illegally. You do it. Now, remember this: in 1952. Dwight Eisenhower was a nice man, right? I mean, whether people like him, don't like him, people thought of him as remember the expression, I like Ike. Right. That was his, like mine's Make America Great Again. Right. I still like that one better. We could go, I like Donald, but it doesn't work, right? But I like Ike, that was his expression. Dwight Eisenhower sent millions of people, 1.5 million at a minimum, people out, illegal immigrants. He sent them out. And by the way, brought them out, brought them to the border, let them go, they came back. Let them go again, they came back. Let them go a third time, They came back. The fourth time, he moved them all the way south. They never came back again.
So we're going to dig deeper on that after a break. Just to close out, I have a question for you. The new Prime Minister of Canada has pledged to hire 50% women, 15 men, 15 women in his cabinet. And he was asked why, and he said because it's 2015. Will you make a similar pledge? Will you have women in your cabinet?
Well, I think you know a lot about my company, and I have many women in my company.
I know
and
that.
Probably more than almost anybody proportionally. It's just about 50%, might even be more than 50%. So I'm not one that has to make a pledge, and I wouldn't want that because I will tell you, I want the best person at each position, okay? And I think you'd want to hear that. I want to get the best. Carl Icahn endorsed me. I'm going to get Carl involved with China. And Carl's a great businessman. I'm going to say, Carl, watch our trade deal. It stinks with China. All of a sudden, we're going to say, wow, you know, things are getting really good with China. I'm going to get the best people for the job.